And the challenges have not dissipated. This is an important thing. This is why I like option 2 so much more, because it gives us flexibility. We still have supply bottlenecks. We still have lockdowns in China. We still have a chip shortage. We still have supply snails, and ports and railways now are going to be closed in America. We still have the war in Ukraine, and we still have the oil shortages and the gas shortages, and shortly the food shortages, because next season's crop is not being planted. The winter crop's not going to be planted because it's a war zone. We still have COVID-19 and new variants of COVID-19 and now monkeypox. We now have industrial action, and that's what you get when you have inflation, because inflation goes up. Unions are saying, come to the employer and they say, look, we want a pay increase. We at least want to match inflation, because otherwise in real terms we're telling our workers that they have to take a pay cut. The employer says, no, go away. We're not giving you twice as much or 3 times as much of a pay increase as we've done in the past. And the unions call a strike. That's what my union has just done for next week, because the university is not willing to give them a pay increase to match inflation. Now, when those union actions are successful, pays do go up, and then that means that the organisation needs to charge more for its products to cover its higher cost, and that feeds into further inflation. This is when we get into the inflation spiral. And it's not just in education. The teachers have been on strike, the fireys have been on strike, the train drivers have been on strike, my wife's a nurse, they've been on strike. There's going to be a lot more industrial action. Try to cast your mind back to the 80s and 90s when we had a lot of industrial action, when we had high inflation. That's coming again. Friendshoring is still a huge cost. What's that? It's the fact that we've decided we don't like China anymore, and we want to bring back manufacturing to friendly nations like Japan and India and Vietnam, and bring it back to our own shores. Now, what you've got to remember is the reason why we sent our production over to China was that it was cheaper. If we're going to bring it back, it's going to make it more expensive, and that's yet another driver of high inflation, which drives your council costs, which is going to drive your rates bill. And now we have greenflation too, this transition to renewable energy, and I know a lot of people like it a lot, but it comes with a cost, a very significant cost, and that's going to feed into your council costs and your own costs. So there's not a lot of good stuff out there to see, and I don't see the best case scenario happening. I see far more downside risk than upside risk. Look, I hope this video has given you more information and given you some food for thought. It's not my decision, it's your decision. But if it was me, I would be pumping for the option 2, the increases for each of the 3 years. Gives my council a lot more flexibility. Hey, maybe things will turn out wonderful and they don't have to pass on the whole rate increase. But I want to know that if things do end up turning worse, like I expect, that the council has the flexibility to respond to it without going through this expensive and time-consuming process again. Thank you very much for your time. Goodbye.